Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. That song's basically become like the anthem for Dead Space, hasn't it? And if you haven't played Dead Space, you should play Dead Space. You really should. Not sponsored. I'm bringing that back. Anyways, Dead Space rumors have been circulating the interwebs for the past day or so. Actually, longer than that, but today it's blown up. So, to give a recap, and I'm not going to show articles because you could just do a quick Google search and you find Dead Space stuff all over the place. But to give a quick recap, Dead Space rumors of a remaster have been circulating for quite some time. Fans have been wanting a remaster of the original trilogy, also preferably with Dead Space Extraction, just because that's part of the canon. And with the whole thing of them, with EA making Mass Effect Trilogy Remastered, it gave new hope to us as Dead Space fans that they would actually do a remaster of the Dead Space trilogy as well. This is something that EA could do and should do, and I just moved my table. And there's a number of reasons why they should do this. And before we get to the whole meat of everything, we're just going to talk really quick. The whole reason why they should do this is because they're riding off of the popularity, or I should say the renaissance of Resident Evil, right? And I say renaissance of Resident Evil because Resident Evil got to a weird point where it sold well, but fans weren't happy with it, and now we're at a place where people are happy with Resident Evil again. They're happy with the remakes, with the exception of, some people are happy with Remake 3, but anyways, EA needs to capitalize on this resurgence of survival horror, of horror just in general. Hell, even Nintendo is on board because they announced Fatal Frame 5, Maiden of or Blackwater Maiden, or whatever it's called. So if Nintendo can hop on board, EA can hop on board too, right? So who's to say that they're not going to go ahead and make a Dead Space remastered trilogy? Honestly, they really should. So let's get to this whole topic that is, or this discussion that's going on. How EA is potentially making a reimagining of Dead Space. I don't know how I feel about that, considering how if you play the first Dead Space on PC, it still holds up. Like, it's beautiful. 60 FPS. The game runs very smooth. The only thing is the controls are a little wonky because they changed the controls in Dead Space 1 and 2, and Dead Space 2, the controls felt a lot better. Dead Space 3, the controls were still improved on, even if the game wasn't the best of the trilogy. Definitely was not the best of the trilogy. But, with that being said, a reimagining, instead of having a sequel made, they're making a reimagining of the game. Now, reimagining can be a lot of different things. So when you think of reimagining, let me take out some games here so that way I have some props. I like to have props when we have discussions like this. All right, so remake versus reimagining. A lot of people, when they're talking about Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3 remake, the discussion comes along the lines is it a remake? Is it a reimagining? What is this? Well, they called this one Resident Evil 2 Remake. And then this, originally they said it was Resident Evil 3 Remake, but then once it released, Capcom was like, no, it's more a reimagining. So you should call it a reimagining and not a remake. But it's in the same canon as this one right here, so then that would make this a remake. Plus, on the back, it specifically says Jill Valentine's encounter with the unrelenting nemesis in this survival horror classic remade. Meaning it's a remake and not a reimagining. I think the whole reason why they went and said, "Oh no, it's a reimagining," is because people got upset by all the cut content and stuff like that. And so because of that, people were like, "Oh, it's not a good remake." And the Capcom's like, "Oh, wait, it's a reimagining. It's not a remake. So don't get mad at us." So this is why reimagining as a word in the video game stratosphere scares me, because reimagining means that they will take liberties with this said game, and they could do whatever the hell they want with it. With all things considered, it is their IP, and they can do whatever the hell they want with it. But do we need the remake or reimagining for the first Dead Space? No, we don't. You're gonna tell the you're gonna retell the story of a game that was very well made, very well told. Still one of the best horror games I have ever played, and I play a lot of them. Okay, one of the best horror games I have ever played is Dead Space 1 and 2. Dead Space 1 is a lot scarier than part 2, but I like part 2 more just because the atmosphere, like, it changed the dynamics and it was really good. Anyways, sorry, I'm sidetracking. Regardless, there was a lot of stuff that went into the making of the first Dead Space that carried over into Dead Space 2 as well, that would be very hard to duplicate properly. If you've never watched the making of Dead Space, go watch the making of Dead Space. Like, there's a lot of stuff in there that would surprise you how they handle things. The AI alone in Dead Space is better than anything else that came out around that time period. So it's better than the AI that you found in RE5, RE6. Hell, even honestly better than the AI that you even see in modern Resident Evil games. The way that the necromorphs would crawl into the vents because they see that you're there, they go into the vents and try to sneak around you and get at you from a different point was just something that they tried to do in Resident Evil 5 and couldn't do it. You know, like it's things like that where it's like it was amazing. The sound quality, the audio in Dead Space is still, in my opinion, the absolute best in any horror game, period. It is terrifying. You play Dead Space with surround sound, you hear the necromorphs crawling in the vents behind you, around you. You hear every little detail. It's terrifying. When I played Dead Space for the first time on PC with this headset, okay, because this is surround sound 7.1 surround sound headset. When I played Dead Space for the first time on PC with this thing, oh my god, it was terrifying again. Because I had gotten so used to my TV speakers from playing Dead Space on my PS3 that playing it on PC, it was horrific. Even though I knew what to expect, it was amazing and I loved it. And that's something that it's hard to capture again. It's hard to capture in a reimagining of a game. It's hard to capture in a remake, to be honest with you. In my opinion, the only really true remake that was ever done well was this one. This one right here. Resident Evil Remake. The first remake of the first game. That was the only one that was ever truly done that was satisfactory to every Resident Evil fan. Why? Because they kept everything that was Resident Evil 1. And without changing a goddamn thing, they improved and added to the game instead of removing content. Instead of changing things massively. Yes, they might have moved a door or changed the way that scares happened, so that way veterans of the game wouldn't know what to expect. And that's something that, like, without proper thought process, without proper consideration, a Dead Space reimagining or remake, I don't know if it can capture that. What I would like would be just do the remaster, which I think they're gonna do. I'm like 80% convinced that they're going to do a remaster of the original trilogy. But to do the remaster and then do a sequel, give us a Dead Space 4, continue the story, but use it in a way that it's kind of like a soft reboot of the series. Like if you don't want to have Isaac in there as a protagonist, have somebody else, that would be okay. But still have it continue off of the story and have Isaac show up later in the game. And then maybe have a Dead Space 5 be with Isaac. I think that would be a good transition, because then you can continue the story where you left off on a cliffhanger in Dead Space 3. Right? So it's things like that where it's like, I want to see the story finished. We have all these franchises and they never get finished because they just leave them on the table and never really continue anything. You know? Parasite Eve, Mega Man X, Resident Evil for the longest time. Now they're continuing the story, but I mean, it's not ending, and I don't see it ending anytime soon. You know, like it's a common problem with ongoing franchises. Like they want to milk the franchises, and that's fine. I get that. I don't have a problem with that. But either you do it in a way that it's an anthology series where it's basically a new story every time, or you find a way to do a soft reboot, but that's also a sequel at the same time. That's how I look at Final Fantasy VII Remake. I look at Final Fantasy VII Remake as a soft reboot of Final Fantasy VII, but a sequel at the same time. I know it's weird. Let's not get into that. let's not get into that. This video is already long. But let me know your thoughts and opinions down below in the comment section regarding Dead Space, because I know there's a lot of fans out there of Dead Space. On my channel, there's a lot of fans. A lot of you guys, I know a lot of you guys are massive Dead Space fans because you're massive fans of Resident Evil. You guys like Fatal Frame. You guys join me in basically every horror game that I play. So, yeah, give me your thoughts and opinions down below in the comments. And thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see all of you guys real soon.